Hello there. You're listening to the Box Office Show. I'm Ryan Hill.
And I'm Dylan Johnson. Today we're talking about the box office numbers from last weekend and our box office predictions for this upcoming weekend.
And on the heels of his awards triumphs in Oppenheimer and what may be his greatest box office triumph in The Odyssey, we're starting our director analysis series on Christopher Nolan by looking at three of his mind-bending movies: Memento, The Prestige, and Inception.
We're going to jump straight into the box office breakdown for July 24th to the 26th. In first place, to nobody's surprise, in its second weekend, Christopher Nolan's The Odyssey has made $90 million. That is a 27.1% drop. The best for a movie that opened over $100 million, beating Wicked and Top Gun Maverick's second weekend drop. That is an impressive hold.
Record-breaking hold, and it's a very good sign for The Odyssey. Again, its second weekend, well over Oppenheimer's first weekend, its opening debut. So that is definitely pointing to a $1 billion grosser, and it looks like it may be on track if it holds this well for the course of its summer. And we know with Nolan movies, again, they stay in theaters for as long as possible. And I'm thinking this could also break the R-rated highest grossing record, which currently is Deadpool and Wolverine at like 1.35 billion. So Oppenheimer can do that. That'll be really exciting.
Remember when the highest grossing R-rated film was Joker?
I do. Remember when it was crazy? That thing made $1 billion. Who saw that coming?
No. Yeah, nobody. That one was crazy. Crazy pull.
The Moana will not be getting anywhere close to $2 billion. It made $10.6 million this weekend. Its domestic total is now over $100 million. But very far cry from
crazy twist. I really thought this one was going to do numbers.
Me too. I mean, there's always that outside possibility it would be a dud, but the total rejection of it is really surprising. So, yeah.
Maybe people are finally sick of the live action remakes. I don't know. Like Lilo and Stitch did crazy numbers, and like I don't think that's as relevant as Moana right now. But anyway, third place, Hadestown the musical, the filmed version of the Broadway musical, made $10.2 million in theaters this weekend.
Toy Story 5, $10.1 million. Its domestic total is now right around $450 million domestic, and then worldwide, it's crossed $1 billion. It's the third film to reach the milestone this year, and Toy Story 5 has also claimed the top spot for the year overall. It is the highest grossing movie so far.
For now, until Spider-Man comes. Until Spider-Man comes. Spider-Man.
But for now, for a week and a half, it can sit there and enjoy its top spot.
After Toy Story 5, we have Minions and Monsters with $9.7 million, bringing its domestic total to $155 million.
Evil Dead Burn, $2.8 million.
The Invite, $2.6 million.
Young Washington, $1.9 million.
Motor City, $1.7 million.
And Obsession rounds out the top 10 with $1.5 million. Likely to be its last week, but again, you never know with Obsession. It can do some crazy stuff, so maybe it'll pop up next time. But this is the end of Obsession. $261 million domestic, $460 million worldwide. Absolutely insane run for this film.
Absolutely ludicrous. Made more than some Marvel movies.
It's made more than Moana and Supergirl, which we've dropped off from our list.
Yeah.
So we would have been better served going with this random film by a YouTuber than those major studio blockbusters. So wild stuff.
All right, we're going to talk about our box office predictions for July 31st to August 2nd. Obviously, this is going to be the opening weekend of Spider-Man Brand New Day. No Way Home's opening weekend domestically was $260 million. Ryan, do you think it can beat that number?
Beat 260 for sure.
Yeah, easily. Are you kidding? Those were
No,
COVID numbers. We're at the tail end of COVID numbers.
exactly. Which that alone was, insane. In that environment, that was going to make that much. And again, it never released in China. That film total
Mhm.
would have been 2 billion overall. Um, but now with Brand New Day, which doesn't have that same appeal of bring back the villains, bring back the other two Spider-Man, this film is right on the level with Endgame. It had a record-breaking opening day and the previews on the Thursdays as well. You just shared that you've seen this. You saw it at 8:25 a.m.
Mhm.
Crazy.
Yeah,
So, and you said it was packed.
it was packed. It was a packed theater at 8:25 in the morning. Isn't that crazy? Every showing packed.
So yeah, that is this is crazy if it does end up beating in games 357 million.
You
That
can
was
do
like the
it.
event film of all event films.
Mhm.
Never seen anything like it at that point. And we thought this will never get beaten until and unless they can create another event film with whatever the next Avenger stuff would be. Here we
Doomsday, I
have
guess.
Spider Man about to do it. This is crazy. So, do you think? Because again, we don't know. We have no idea right now if it will be over or under 357 million. What are you saying? What
Dude, it's
say
gonna be
you?
close.
It's gonna be very
I
close.
think it can do it. I think it can do it.
Think it'll happen? Okay.
Yeah.
I think I'll go under. So we'll
Okay.
see how it shakes out. I'll say 355 million.
Okay. We'll see. Just shy of 357 is crazy.
Yeah.
He's gonna get 2 million under.
You never know. At that point, Sony would just buy up everything to
Mhm.
make it go over. But yeah, I think it'll be within that range, like within 4 or 5 million. All right, Christopher Nolan. So without a doubt, a filmmaker that is at the top of the game right now.
Yeah.
There's been many comparisons. Our generation, Spielberg.
Mhm.
Um, there's been comparisons with James Cameron as well because of his box office success. I think now he's like the third highest grossing director of all time.
I think he's our
So
generation's David Lean.
David Lean.
Yeah. I think with the epics he's been making, with I think Interstellar, Oppenheimer, and The Odyssey, I think he's making some like big epic films that I just don't see made anymore. The kind of films that I don't think are put to screen as often as they used to. The commitment to like making something on such a grand scale, to take a large budget and really use that budget to maximum effect.
Mhm, for sure. And that goes hand in hand with again the fact that he has the most clout of any director. Like whatever movie he wants to make, he's going to be able to make it
Yeah.
the way that he wants to. So
Hmm.
budget restrictions and all that, he's surpassed that at this point.
Hmm.
Um, so yeah, and he's also I mean, the Spielberg comparisons and all that are apt just because everyone knows Spielberg. Like his name is synonymous with film. Christopher Nolan at this point as well. Like he's probably top three household names for
Yeah.
people. Spielberg,
I mean,
Tarantino, and Nolan.
if you recall, when you and I were in middle school, we had a film class, and in that film class, we had cameras that we would like rent out to go shoot our film stuff, and they had names on them, and each camera was named after a filmmaker. If I remember correctly, one of them was Nolan, and this was back in like 2012 when he had just made like Inception and The Dark Knight,
Yeah,
and he hadn't even made Interstellar yet. He hadn't even made Dunkirk or The Odyssey or Oppenheimer. This is before all of that. He was still up there with the other cameras that were named after like Coppola and Spielberg and Tarantino and Scorsese. There was a Nolan camera.
it's prophetic. Yeah,
Yeah.
he's at that echelon for sure, especially with this generation. So,
Mhm.
what is your relationship to Christopher Nolan?
I think the Batman movies were the first ones that I saw because you and I were the right age when those movies were coming out. We were 8 when The Dark Knight came out, and that's like huge for us. I remember my family watching it at home and trying to watch it, and they wouldn't let me watch the scene with the pencil where he like. This was
Yeah,
like a year or two after the movie came out. I think they had the DVD of it. I remember getting a DVD set of Batman movies. It was the 4 Batman movies before the Dark Knight trilogy, and then I also got Batman Begins on Blu-ray with it. And so I watched Batman Begins. I think that might have been the first Christopher Nolan movie I saw was Batman Begins, fully start to finish. And then I know I watched Inception pretty early on because caught that on a streaming service. I saw The Prestige pretty early on, and I saw what is it called? Memento pretty early on. And then the first movie of his that I saw in theaters was The Dark Knight Rises, for sure. Saw that in theaters. Thought it was awesome. That's what, 2012, I think. 12 years old. Great movie. And then I remember seeing Interstellar for a friend's birthday. And that just slapped. She was awesome. It was huge. It was great in theaters. Even better in IMAX. Makes you cry in IMAX 100%. And then ever since then, just been catching every single one of his movies that came out in theaters. Obviously, Dunkirk, I think his follow-up to Interstellar was his best movie. It's my favorite of his movies. I think it's incredible. Tenet. Boo Tenet.
But did you see it in theaters? Did
Yes.
you go out?
I absolutely
did?
100%.
Wow.
I went and saw Tenet in theaters. I tried to support Mr. Nolan.
I was supporting the cause of not spreading COVID. I'm kidding.
I social distance. I wore a mask the entire time in theaters and I social distance. Thank you very much. They had the thing where every like two
they
seats
roped off the they roped off the seats, right?
And I wore a mask the entire time in the theater and I kept my 6 foot distance. I maintained social distancing. I did not catch COVID. And I watched Tenet and it was not worth the risk of catching COVID, let me tell you. Oof, that movie was rough. Which is sad because I think every single one of his other movies are fantastic. Like at least 4s, like really great movies.
And I agree with that. Like, again, it's one of those things because, again, Nolan, especially early on with Dark Knight and Inception, especially Interstellar now. I mean, we talked about that in its own episode where, like, that is this generation's one of its favorite films. Like, you go to people, they love Interstellar to death.
They do
I'm
love
one
Interstellar.
From the jump. I loved it, but it's definitely become one of his most, I think it's like the most seen on Letterboxd, something like that.
Probably.
You ask a bunch of regular people, the normies, I suppose, that aren't crazy into film, and they for sure know Interstellar. Again, they for sure know Nolan.
Bro, if you play the music on the piano, people might get emotional.
Exactly, yeah. People, iconic score and everything. So, yeah, all that to say, Nolan definitely extremely well known, very popular, and yet lives up. Like all those films are incredible. Like I think as well, we'll see as we talk through it, but I have enjoyed and really, really liked and can find things to appreciate in all of his films, except for Tenet. But again, I never saw it in the theaters. I did see it at home at some point.
It's the same.
I did have the advantage of subtitles, but we'll see that. But notably, I left that off. We're not talking about that one in this episode of Mind-Bending Films, but we'll reappraise it a little later on and see if we come around to it. But and with Nolan specifically, I can remember distinctly, like almost all of his films, something about where I was when I heard of them, or the anticipation of going to see them, or actually seeing them. Some of these films we'll talk about 100%. That experience here, but Dark Knight,
they're event films.
Yeah, they are for sure event films. Dark Knight. It's funny you bring that up too, because I remember it coming out. I remember distinctly sitting in either McDonald's or Chick-fil-A afterwards, after my dad and brother saw it, but I was too young apparently to go see it in theaters.
Yeah.
And so they were chatting about the film and they were raving about it. Like, it's incredible, it's the most amazing thing I've ever seen. And I was like so pissed off. I was like, bro, I wanted to go see that film.
Yeah, because Batman's awesome, bro.
Yeah,
and people are saying it's like the best Batman movie ever. Made a bunch of money. It's got the Joker in it. Like,
because
you want to go see it.
It was clearly a departure from the '90s campy Batman stuff. They're like, okay, this may be too dark and gritty and whatnot. And so,
I mean, we were 8. 8 is probably a little too young, maybe.
Yeah, kind of.
Like
obviously, we wouldn't have the appreciation for it, but I still think we'd be able to see.
It probably would have been fine, but it's borderline for sure.
It is intense. A lot of intense sequences. And again, it's not. This is what we'll talk about with Nolan as well. His reputation as someone who makes these big event films, a lot of spectacle involved, but it's kind of elevated. Again, it's not like a Michael Bay film where certainly spectacle, certainly can appeal to mass audiences, but you're not really being asked to engage much intellectually with the Transformer films
Mm.
and things like that. But with Christopher Nolan, I don't know who said it. I don't know when I first heard this, but he was characterized as the thinking man. He makes the thinking man's blockbusters, which I think is
Hmm.
an interesting little way to
Yeah,
describe it.
I think it's
And
neat.
it's kind of true because a lot of it, and we'll talk about with these movies specifically, like you're being asked to join him in trying to put the puzzle pieces together of how he's constructed the films. And I think it's something he's very successful at doing. The films are always fun to watch and rewatch because of that. I think it's another reason why he's uh, been able to rise so heavily in the film world. You can
Yeah.
watch his films, love it, and then rewatch his films and love it even more because you can
Mm.
find all the little things. I mean, we talked about this with Odyssey. I like that on second viewing. Like, I'm sure whenever we do the Oppenheimer watch again in the next director analysis, I'm sure that'll be improved a bit. So yeah, I think that's part of why he's able to have such a distinctive career. So about those trademarks of his style,
Mm.
what are some of the ones that stick out for you?
More so than I realized, the nonlinear storytelling. Because I think in the Odyssey episode we just did, I talked about how sometimes it doesn't work for me, which is true. I don't know if it worked great in parts of the Odyssey, and I really don't think it worked very well in Oppenheimer personally. Um, and then I was trying to talk about how I think some of his more linear films, I think, are a little bit more straightforward. I think the Batman movies, of course, follow a pretty linear storyline. They don't really bounce around that much. There's a couple of flashbacks in some of the movies, but for the most part, it's a pretty straightforward start to finish story, which makes sense because they're superhero movies. I mean, it's just very easy to tell a story start to beginning and go all the way to the end. Obviously, Memento, I think, is his most famous version of a nonlinear storytelling. I also think it's his most successful. It's just such a bold choice, bold narrative choice, bold script choice, and I think it works so well. And then I
Mhm.
think in the Odyssey episode, I also mentioned the Prestige as a movie that has a more linear storyline. And then I rewatched it for this episode,
Yeah, it
and
turns out.
I was very wrong. I was very, very, very wrong. I forgot completely that the whole story is told from the end through reading a journal within that journal to do a
Yeah,
flashback within a flashback, which
exactly.
is very, very bold for a movie just about magicians. It's a very bold narrative choice to start it like that.
For
And I
sure.
know this because I was watching it with somebody else and they weren't paying attention very well. So I was trying to catch them up on it. And so I was trying to explain, like, okay, so right now we're in a journal, but we're in a journal within that journal. And so we're seeing his memories told to this guy who's writing down those memories told back to the first guy.
Yeah,
Yeah. And
quite
it got
complicated.
a little, it definitely got a little convoluted. It's one that you have to pay very close attention to because of how it's cut around. I
Journals
think it
within
is
journals,
still
dreams within
successful.
dreams.
Yeah, I think it's still successful for the most part, but still, it can get a little complicated. He's got a very, very specific editing style, a very specific flow to his editing that I don't think is always successful, but that I think is successful. When it works, it's great. Like I think it works pretty well in conjunction with the nonlinear storytelling in the Prestige. I think it lines together pretty well. The way that he blends the different timelines together. Um, it's just very difficult for me to really enjoy a movie where I don't get to sit down with the characters for long periods of time. And his movies are really just they're going, you know?
Yeah,
And I think maybe Interstellar is his most popular movie because there are a lot of scenes where you really get to sit with those characters. There's a lot of scenes where Matthew McConaughey is with Murph and they're just like going through it, man.
I've, yeah. I think it's interesting because with the more linear films, like his Batman stuff and Interstellar, like those are the ones I truly, truly love. Like they're on the
Yeah,
top of my list for him. Again, I
100%.
haven't seen Dunkirk yet, waiting for the theatrical
Dude.
screen.
That's
But
one also a really, really creative use of the nonlinear storytelling, and I think it's fantastic.
but I think, yeah, I think Interstellar, what you just described there, maybe it's being able to sit more with those characters. I think the emotionality of that film is why it hits so hard.
Yeah,
Obviously,
absolutely.
again, there's spectacle stuff in there that alone is like able to make you cry. But
Hmm.
like the scene of him watching back the tapes of his children growing up, like missing all those
Hmm.
years, it's phenomenal. Like,
And you really
I
get to
still
sit
love
with them.
McConaughey, one of my
Yeah.
goats. But yeah, just like being able to sit there and really take in the anguish alongside them of like imagine if you just could only see these little snippets of your family going from children to full on adults now the same age as you when you left. Like that's crazy.
Yeah.
So that
It's
one I think
devastating.
is
The
why that
sacrifice.
hits. And then same with the Dark Knight. But then I was watching again from Oppenheimer, Odyssey, and then these three films. I was like, man, this is Nolan. Like this is who he is to do these nonlinear narratives. He absolutely loves it. And so I think if you're trying to find what film is most distinctly Nolan, it has to be a film that does some nonlinear narrative.
Yeah, 100%.
And then the other thing, cross-cutting in the montages that he loves to do. So in all his films sort of end in a climactic montage where you have a narration over it. And a lot of them extremely effective. A lot of those images that he includes in those montages be ones that he's been setting up earlier in the film. And then with the cross-cutting, a lot of it he does, between timelines, but that's why I think in a film like The Dark Knight, for instance, where we're cross-cutting between things that are happening in the same time, but the tension is escalating because they're on a clear collision course towards each other. I think those are when they're the most effective.
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
Again, as we talked about in the Odyssey and stuff like that, like his ability to do that across these different timelines and create new meanings or new revelations, I think.
Yeah. Or honestly, just his like
wonderful tool.
His setup of things too, the cross cutting in that, where he's like in the best example is the Dark Knight trilogy when Batman is gearing up to go into a fight and he's like setting up multiple things and is cutting back and forth between like him training and him like getting new gear with what's his name, Morgan Freeman, or like talking with Alfred. It's like cross cutting between those scenes. That's like the building blocks of like so many superhero movies now do that. With the cross cutting between the characters as they're getting ready and like setting up that like effective style of montage to really keep the audience on their toes and keep them excited without having to slow down at all. And I think it works for the most part. Nolan does it the best, obviously, but it is getting a little bit tiresome to the point where now he's using those same techniques in movies that aren't superhero movies, and we're recognizing them as superhero tropes, like the suiting up sequence in Oppenheimer, or even at the end of the Odyssey when he's like talking with John Leguizamo and he's like suiting up to go find his son and stuff. It's like we recognize them as superhero tropes now because he started it, and it happened to be in a superhero movie, and then it became a trope of that genre, and now he's still using it because it's his trope.
Yeah,
but it's become a superhero trope over 20 years.
You almost think when Leguizamo's like, hey, like, oh, you're about to go and kill those perpetrators. Are you going to bring vengeance? He's like, bring it all, which felt like a superhero thing. But you also could imagine him about to do like an I am vengeance type thing. Like, where is she? I need to find her. So
where is she? Where's Rachel?
So yeah, some other narrative tropes that he likes to stick to. Obviously, great man narratives. A lot of, we'll talk about that in some of these. Prestige, some in Inception as well, but definitely his later works, right? Odyssey, Oppenheimer, focusing on this one-of-a-kind type of guy that's able to do phenomenal things, and the weight of that on him. Also, he gets maligned for this quite often, a lot more earlier in his career when it kept popping up. Each of the films we're about to talk about have this. Dead wives.
Yeah.
Wives, they're dead on the start, they're dead right away in the film. So, yeah, using his female characters to get the plot going and motivate the male characters. Any other major Nolan trademarks or stylistic quirks, interests that we'd be remiss to not mention here?
According to you, not great hand-to-hand combat.
Oh yeah, I think it's fair. I think that's one of the major criticisms he got in the Batman films. And I think it's warranted. Again, part of why I think The Dark Knight is far superior than, let's say, Dark Knight Rises is it does not depend on a fight scene. It does not have combat. The whole climax is the moral dilemma presented by the Joker, and then it's the moral dilemma presented by Two-Face right after that. Neither of which is hand-to-hand combat. Whereas Dark Knight Rises, we're having to do fisticuffs with Bane in broad daylight, which I like. I like the underground fight as well. that they have, but
Mhm.
it's not his greatest ability. I'll say he doesn't fine tune that so much, but that's fine. We can't be perfect on every little element of filmmaking.
It's just funny that all of his fist fight scenes look the same. Like if you look at the Odyssey and then you look at the Batman, like the Dark Knight Rises, where Batman fights Bane, it's a similar fighting style.
Yeah,
Just very close up, and they're just like hunched up and they're swinging their arms left and right
right.
at each other, and it's like I don't know, back the camera up a little bit.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But
Let's talk about Memento. Let's move on.
dive into what he can do, and that is
Yeah,
and his nonlinear narrative stuff, and a truly inventive storytelling approach with Memento bursting onto
yeah,
the scene. This was
hmm
second major feature film, although his first one was, I guess, not that major.
very
Um,
small.
so this one really announced him. So, what was your history with this film? You said you saw this quite early on.
Yeah, this was one of the earlier ones I saw before I probably saw Interstellar. I was watching a bunch of his movies. I saw Inception at home. I saw Memento at home. I saw The Prestige at home. And then I think Interstellar came out around the same time I was watching those movies. So I was a pretty big Nolan head, early on when those early movies came off, and then fell off a little bit around the time Tenet came out, just because I had such a hype up from Dunkirk. So Tenet kind of fell off for me. Oppenheimer was, of course, like an event film. We all went and saw it, but I wasn't as enamored with it as a lot of people were. And then the Odysseys get me back on the Nolan train for sure.
There you go. Yeah, I saw this one very recently, in the last year or so, maybe a little more than that. But yeah, this is one that you know what it is. You heard
hmm
about it so much. The gimmick of the told in reverse and the two different timelines coming together.
Ends in the middle.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So like through just I don't know osmosis in the film community, like you clearly understand what Memento is and what it's going for. Um, and so yeah, I just been waiting to give it a try, give it a watch. My editor loves this film, both, which kind of makes sense. But so yeah, when we were working on post production for my film, we would talk about a lot of different stuff. They were big Nolan heads, and particularly Memento. And so I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna give it a
There's
watch.
going to be a suiting up sequence in your movie. The editor's
there,
going to put one in.
there's not. I mean, there could be an interpretation of one. I guess she suits up by painting her face every time, but um,
Just
yeah,
blaring the Oppenheimer soundtrack while she's doing it. Bow, now.
so I was like, yeah, I'll watch Memento and see what all the fuss is about. And for sure, like it is. I just want to. I think there's a video online too of him like explaining it, but I just want to be there for him breaking the story. Putting all the index cards up and rearranging them and
Mhm.
figuring out how to make it work because
Yeah.
it is insane that it does hold your attention, even though one storyline is completely going in reverse. But it's compelling every time it pops
hmm
up, and you're like, "What is going on?" Half the time he asks, he's like, "What's going on? What am I doing?" And then you get to see a little parcel of it, but there's still so many questions they're trying to find answers to, even though again where in chronology, right, where the end destination point is for all this. So the fact that it is able to work is just a complete feat of ingenuity. Like it is
Yeah.
straight up brilliant stuff that he was able to do that.
It's genius. It's a genius film. I always thought it was great. I think the idea is very groundbreaking. I mean, it's just, people talk about nonlinear storytelling. For a long time, they would bring up Pulp Fiction as a good example of nonlinear storytelling, bouncing around in the story. Obviously, that's like a very famous example. But I think this is like taking it to a whole new level where you're not just like taking the pieces and moving them around a little bit. You're actually like reinventing the chronology of the story entirely
Hmm.
and telling it forwards and backwards at the same time. I think is really, really smart. And it works so well in terms of what the story is trying to tell of this guy who has amnesia and can't remember things. And we are remembering things as he's experiencing them by working backwards. And also works in the mystery of the story of trying to figure out how these two storylines of one going forward, one going backwards can actually meet in that middle and make sense.
Yeah.
It's genius.
So this is one of those. Another thing with Nolan, especially more earlier on, he's gotten again the award success lately. The Odyssey is like critically acclaimed across the board. So I think it's definitely gotten over that hump. But I think back in the day, one thing that could be held against him is a lack of emotionality in his films.
Mm.
So Memento is one of those where certainly there's a couple moments here and there, but for the most part, it does feel like it's this incredible exercise in
Mm.
can we pull this off? Can we make a compelling, coherent story with this storytelling approach? And a lot of the delight of the film is getting to see that actually play out and succeed.
100%.
And so this is one of those, again, like the puzzles getting put together before your eyes. That's fantastic. So logically, intellectually, you're being engaged, but emotionally, there's not much to really pack a punch there. But
Yeah, but I don't think there
nonetheless, it's
needs
still
to be for
great.
me. I'm enjoying watching the mystery unfold personally, and I'm enjoying that the messed up chronology of the story is part of that mystery. I enjoy that gimmick quite a bit.
100%. Yeah, I think I wrote, well, we'll do my Letterboxd review or something like this. I was like, it's fun sailing down Gimmick River when the captain is this assured. Because he is like, he gives you that premise, he sets it up perfectly with, the Polaroid in reverse. Fantastic image, fantastic way to start it out and like root us in what it's going to be. And then, like you just said, you're just watching that mystery unfold as these two timelines are heading towards each other. And it's so fun to watch that play out. It's like, yeah, this is fantastic. So 100% agree with you there. Some of the fun amnesia moments, like little gags of him not being able to remember if the door is push or pull. So he messes it up every time. And then my favorite one is when he starts, he's on the run. He sees a guy across the way and he's like, what am I doing? Oh, I'm chasing this guy. And then the other guy pulls out the gun, shoots at him. He's like, nope, he's chasing me. And starts fleeing off.
Yeah,
like
it's really
that.
great.
It's hilarious. There's quite a few funny things with Dodd. Not all of them intentional, maybe. Do you remember that? The cut where he pulls up in the car right next to him, has the gun, and then it cuts to basically no reaction, blank face. Like it's not even we see him turn. Like
he just drives.
Turn forward. He just drives.
It's great. So, it's a really great cut.
Yeah.
He's honking at him, and Guy Pearce doesn't know what's going. He's like, "What? Why is this guy honking at me?" And he pulls up with the gun and he just takes off.
Yeah. So don't forget those survival instincts. And then I think the Sammy Jenkins stuff, again, talking about like how much of a feat it is on the storytelling side to make it compelling and also withhold. Because Nolan loves his reveals. Watching the Prestige, makes it all click. He loves that Prestige moment, right? Where he clicks it all in and recontextualizes it. And so the Sammy Jenkins stuff is great because one is letting you get more backstory on Leonard. And then two, it's letting you get invested in the Sammy Jenkins thing, which initially I was like, all right, it's a compelling way to show like the irony of him initially dismissing and basically screwing this guy over with his insurance claim. And then it ends in that tragedy of his wife dying by trying to test him with the insulin thing. And then come to find out that's him. So little Sammy Jenkins thing is just a little, invented concoction to help him process his guilt, basically. That's fantastic. And then finding out, I guess by this point, it's been spoilers already, but that whole ending where this man already did it. He completed his goal, but he still is out there trying to find the perpetrator. And then this cop is helping him do that every time just so he can pick off some, I don't know, some criminal that he needs to get rid of.
Yeah.
So
it's competition.
Yeah, pretty much. So that's just another brilliant way to get that big payoff of like, oh, this is what it was. Like he is fully leaning into not caring that the guy that did it or supposedly did it is already dead. He's got this insatiable urge to just keep going out there and getting revenge, even though really it's like, I don't know. I mean, the attackers definitely did happen, but again, the death of his wife himself was from him accidentally. And so, yeah, it's like a brilliant payoff. It also makes the story just feel more, just so tragic in the end. One one other thing I'll say, the Carrie Ann Moss scene where we see her come in looking beat up and talk about, oh, this person did this, you need to help me get him. Then the very next
Mm.
scene of that is us seeing that she staged it basically, like she egged him
Mhm.
on in order to make him do that so that she could come in once he forgets and then manipulate him a
Yeah,
little bit more. I was like,
that shit's
that's
awesome.
crazy. Like that was so that type of
Mhm.
stuff, which he did consistently throughout the film, like just that slight recontextualization as you get a little bit more of the background by going back in time. So well done. So well done.
Yeah, it's like a constant series of reveals for Christopher Nolan. Every
Oh, yeah.
like scene where it's working backwards, there's just a new reveal of now we're recontextualizing what you just saw before with the background of what actually did come beforehand. It's great.
All right. So how many Polaroid notes out of 5 are you giving this
I saw it last year. I think I'm gonna give it. I think I'm gonna give it a full five.
one? Full
I
5.
find it
Wow.
like massively entertaining.
Okay. That's huge. I'm giving it a 4 out of 5. Like
Okay.
I said, again, the emotional stuff, since there isn't
Mhm.
much to it, I don't know. I can
Of
give it like
course,
full 5. But again, like I said, the gimmick, the premise that he decided to go with here,
it's great.
you couldn't execute it better. Like it's just
Absolutely.
so fantastic. So yeah, 4 out of 5 for me on Memento. All right. Now we're going into the Prestige.
Mhm.
Now, what is your history with this film, Dylan? Because I'll tell you
I
my
remember watching
history,
it.
and
I remember
it's
watching it when I
you.
was younger.
You're my history with this film.
Am I? I remember really liking it when I was younger. I know this is Lillian's favorite Christopher Nolan movie. I remember really liking it when I was younger, and then as I got older, I didn't like it as much because, like, in comparison to his other movies. And then I just rewatched it like 2 days ago for this episode, and it's good. It's entertaining. Um, Again, I growing up was a big plot twist kind of guy. Everybody loves a good plot twist. I really loved a good plot twist, and this movie has two of the best plot twists ever. Really,
Hmm.
you know, and I don't know. It's entertaining. It's fun. It's cool. It's magic. I liked magic when I was growing up. It's got great performances in it. David Bowie's in it. It's filmed excellently. Like there's very little to criticize other than I just think sometimes it can get a little sluggish, and I think sometimes it gets a little muddled with the storylines. But for the
Hmm.
most part, I think there's a lot of really good setup and payoff in this movie. In the same sense that like he's talking about the structure of a magic trick, I think he's also talking about the structure of a story. Like a lot of his movies are about storytelling themselves, which I think you and I have gotten to a point where we can agree that some of the best movies are the movies that are about storytelling themselves. We talk about that in the Rob Reiner director analysis a lot. And so I think a lot of Christopher Nolan's movies are the same thing. We'll talk about that with Inception too. But in The Prestige, he has, the setup, the payoff, and then the return at the very end, the Prestige, which is that final bit of the trick. And I think it's the same thing with the storytelling is you have the setup of what this premise is. You have this turn where all of a sudden things are now different in the story. And then you have the Prestige where things are brought back and everything is concluded in a satisfying way. And I think that's like a really smart way to do things here. And just the level of foreshadowing in the movie that once you see the plot twist and you go back and you rewatch it is great.
100%. Yeah. So you and Lily loved this film. I remember
Mhm.
like in high school, you guys would quote it all the time. The Michael Caine quote of
It's not enough to
the
make it go away.
Frankenfish.
You
Yeah.
have to bring it back.
You have to bring it back. So you
You
guys
have
would
to
say that
bring it
all the
back.
time. And
We would.
then we did a movie night for it. It was one of your movie nights back in the day for it. Is
Oh
when I would
yeah.
watch it the first time. So that's how I saw it. And then I hadn't seen it since until the for the episode.
Mhm.
But yeah, so that first time through, obviously I didn't know what was going on. And
Yeah.
then this time, as you said, the foreshadowing, it's so obvious. Like it's so obvious.
Yeah. The number
Um
of times they talk about the bird and he's like, "Where's his brother? Where's his brother?" And he's
yeah.
talking about like killing one bird to let another bird, like the swap of the birds.
Hmm.
Obviously, they're going to be brothers who swap. Obviously. Also, Fallon, the character Fallon, who's really just Christian Bale in makeup, obviously is Christian Bale in makeup. It's very obviously Christian Bale in makeup.
There's a couple, yeah, because
What's
they
crazy is
don't
you just don't
hang on
notice
him
it.
too long. But there's a
You just
couple
ignore
shots
it.
where he looks distinctly like Christian Bale, and then a couple where they do. I don't know if they bloated his face a little bit on some of them or
Mhm.
whatnot, but yeah, so they hide it well enough. But
I
yeah,
think for the most part, the first time watching, you just don't really consider it as an option. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
And I think that is, I mean, that is the magic trick. Is yeah, it's obvious, but you didn't think of it until after the prestige, after the reveal.
Right. But it's
Which I think is
also
brilliant.
part of the brilliance is like, well, they tell you already, like it's a double, like it has to be. That's what Michael
Mhm.
Caine is saying. It's like it's someone who looks like him. That's what it has
Yeah,
to be. And then so you're like, okay, but
and then they
because Hugh
convinced me
Jackman
like
is
it can't be. He has padded fingers in his
yeah, he's
gloves.
so convinced that it's which I thought I forgot about the part where his brother had to cut off his own fingers as well for
Hmm.
to do that. It makes sense 100%. But I was like,
Yeah.
I just thought they kept wearing gloves so one would would hide the condition, the other one would also hide it, but still keep his fingers.
No, it's the
They're
commitment.
dedicated. That was the whole thing. Was yeah, you make your
I like
life the
that.
act.
I like that one of them is in love with one with Scarlett Johansson. The other one's in love with what's her name? Rebecca.
Can't
Please
think.
help me.
I
Oh,
can't.
fuck.
To turn to
I'm usually so good with names. I was blanking on it last night too, which is awful.
tragic. Poor the actresses. But yeah, full spoilers for Prestige here.
Rebecca Hall. Oh my god, dude, I'm so stupid.
Rebecca Hall.
But no,
So
like one of them's in love with the other one, and you can tell. There's so many like little scenes. When Christian Bale finds out that Rebecca Hall is pregnant, and he's like, "Oh my god, we should have told Fallon." It's like Fallon's obviously the father. Fallon's obviously like the brother that's Fallon. That's obviously the one who's in love with her, and is the father. Like no wonder he wants to tell him. And then there's so many bits where Rebecca Hall is like, today's one of the days where you love me." She says things
which
like that. Yeah,
again on the rewatch, knowing what you know, you can spot all those things, and I'm just
yeah,
like, that's so absurd.
yeah.
She's like,
And
wow, you
also
really love
like
me today. And he's like, yeah,
yeah,
it's true. I do
and
love
I
you.
love I love also in the funeral when uh Hugh Jackman's wife is dead and he's like, which knot did you tie? And Christian Bale's like, I don't know. It's because he doesn't know. He wasn't the one that tied it. He's the twin
Yeah,
that didn't tie it, and he feels guilty because the other twin did it.
which is crazy. You
And
think the twin would tell him, you'd be like, hey,
yeah,
heads up, I kind of I messed up on this one.
he's literally
But
like, I just don't know which knot was tied. I can't be sure. Like, there's no way to know. It's so sad.
which again, we'll talk about again the rivalry. These two go way over the top with it. But if
Yeah,
you're Hugh
shooting
Jackman
each
in that
other
moment,
and
you would be 100% pissed. How do you not know? Like his rage in that moment is 100% valid. Of you're like, what?
yeah,
Like you have to know. How do you not know? You know which
yeah.
one you did. Own up to it. Like don't just say, oh, I don't know. Brush my hands with it. That's the other thing. Like Christian Bale in that moment should have been just say what happened. Say what you believe your brother had done. Um, but again, I guess they didn't know, and he didn't want to,
You
assume
just
guilt
can't
for
know.
something he himself didn't actually do.
I mean, how
But
much you want to bet the twin was saying he tied the right knot and
I
is
mean,
just
maybe, but
lying?
that's kind of messed up, bro.
It might
Now
be
again,
messed. I
here's the
think
other
one of those twins
implication.
is fucked up. I think one of the twins is fucked up for sure.
Well, yeah, you could tell,
One of them's an
which is good
asshole.
acting as well for Christian Bale. Of you could see, I think pretty much every single time. Again, they give some clues of like, "Wow, today you love me," but other
Yeah,
times where it's just one of them is way more like unhinged. He's just more
yeah.
angry, more volatile. And
I
so
wish
you're
there
like,
was a
okay,
way. I would love to talk and be like, I would want to know if Christopher Nolan knew which twin was which when he wrote it, like which one was going to be born at which times, and if Christian Bale knew, because obviously he had to know for the performance, but can he recognize it just like watching it back?
yeah,
If you were to watch it right now, would he? Probably not. Like it's 20 something years ago. It's probably harder to tell. There's differences in the performance. He's definitely doing something different depending on which twin is on screen, but there's never a way to fully tell which one it is. Christopher
yeah,
Nolan had to have written it in. He had to have written into the script which one is which at any time. He
I
had
would
to
think
know.
so. Yeah, because you
Yeah,
have to keep track of that. And again,
yeah.
you do it so that you can have those scenes where you can give the hints to the audience of like, okay, they're not who
The
they're
little
supposed to be.
winks, yeah. But they're not even like big hints because you just don't even think about it. Even though Michael Caine tells you what the trick is, it's great. It's a
And again, the
genius twist.
fact, the real kicker is Fallon, this dude that is supposed to be this most important person in the world to him, and they never talk. They just don't chat. They say it
Yeah,
once, like, oh, maybe he doesn't talk, but it's like we never linger on him. We hardly see his face.
it's because if he talks, he's just Christian Bale's voice, and you know
Yeah,
it. Like the gimmick is up.
yeah. So I don't know that the other thing of the two different wives that he's supposed to have and everything.
Mm.
So how does that work? Where so they do the switch, so every other night or something, or however many times the magic act happens. That's when they said
Mm.
that they do the switch is the transporting man. But it's like, so are they just like, hey, hands off, like no cuddles, nothing further, no
I don't
kisses on the
know.
mouth, like, or are they going all the way to our life is the act we need to
It's a good
you
question. Are
get
they
with my
cucking each
wife,
other?
I'll get with yours, and that's how we do it. Like, what
Perhaps
are
they just
they?
really don't care. Perhaps. I mean,
Maybe I don't know.
one of the twins definitely loves the non unhinged, the regularly hinged one is definitely in love with Rebecca Hall for sure,
Yeah,
like 100%.
yeah, for
And he
sure.
has a kid with her.
But that's why it's also crazy. It's like, see, half, and again, I mean, this is their dedication. It really wouldn't make sense, but half of the time, your your daughter is going to be with their uncle, but someone they think is their father, and you just have to be silent with the hat and the beard on, sitting in the corner. It's like, all right,
I think my favorite thing is when Hugh Jackman is like he's a dreadful magician and Michael Caine's like he's a wonderful magician, he's a terrible performer. And it's like we're both the twins really shit at performing. Neither of them can nail that part right. They were both just good at the magic, but they had no stage presence really.
right.
It's devastating because he is. You watch him and he's doing like incredible tricks here, but he has no fucking stage presence. It's
Oh,
awful.
he had
It's like
stage
dreadful to
presence when
watch.
he
Him doing the rings.
yeah, the ring is funny. He just kept doing it. The when he storms that one dude's performance and like ties up
Hmm.
the the lookalike, the doppelganger, and hangs him
Yeah,
from the rafters and whatnot. He
that's
had
got
some
to be the
stage presence
unhinged
there,
one. Yeah,
probably.
finally,
But
Professor.
yeah, I don't know. So I think again, as far as like the emotionality of it, because in order for those reveals to work, we can't really spend too much time with either the brothers and their romantic
Hmm.
interests,
True.
because then it would become clear, like overly
Yeah,
clear in some of this. Because then you'd just be wondering, you're like, these they didn't know, like they didn't know, like
yeah.
obviously she finds out at some point, she like puts together, but it's like this is years you've had a child, you didn't know that like half the time it's not your actual husband, like
Yeah, and you have to
just some
dedicate
different dude.
so much time to Hugh Jackman's storyline too. I mean, the twins are only half the story. The other half is Hugh Jackman and his like quest for vengeance, and him going all the way to Colorado to meet with Tesla and to create this transporter man version that is like twisted and dark in a lot of
Mhm.
ways,
Yeah,
which is
yeah,
also a great kicker to the story of just you don't know which one are you? Are you the one that pops out and gets to be the prestige, or are you the one in the tank?
right. Which is scary stuff. I
Terrifying.
mean, I guess the implication, if he goes under the trap door, then yeah, he's whoever was on the stage is the one that gets boarded up and drowned. Pretty
Yeah.
intense. But yeah, so in the same vein where it's like I don't know the emotionality is there all that much, but watching the rivalry play out is extremely satisfying. Also seeing all the
Yeah.
little magic tricks that they do, like the ones that they'll show us, and the ones um the whole transporting man, like trying to figure out ways to one up each other and doing that, I think is very compelling. So
Hmm.
yeah, that's really where it thrives. I think strong performances by our two main actors.
Hmm.
Um, so yeah, I think in that way it really hits. But yeah, the nonlinear storytelling, you really have to be. There's no, there ain't black and white and the color versions. Like,
It is bouncing around
we're
like
just bouncing around. Yeah,
crazy. Like crazy. It is bouncing around three different timelines at the same time and moving forward in each one of them.
yeah.
It's brutal.
So you really have to be in there. But again, those reveals of it's just so good. The journal where it's
Hmm.
like both of them are planted. They
Hmm.
start talking directly to the rival who's reading it. That
Yeah.
stuff is great. The yeah, just the trick of he faked his own death in order to get him locked up. That stuff is great. You'd have to wonder, like earlier on in the like when the dove trick, when Christian Bale shows up and then smashes it so that the poor woman's her fingers get broken.
Hmm.
Clearly, like they didn't have security or no one could have grabbed the volunteer that clearly just went up there and like ruined the trick.
It was the same thing as Like Andrew's coming up and shooting him in the hand. He just
I
walks
know.
away.
He just disappears into the crowd. You think someone would grab him, or Fallon would be like, "Let me first take care of this guy, and then
Yeah.
like, oh, he got shot in the hand. He'll live. Let me make sure this dude doesn't do anything." So they really, I mean, I guess part of it as well was just that they craved the competition. They also had to get some weird enjoyment out of it, of like getting their hands dirty against each other, because they were just like, yeah, we'll leave the door open. We'll keep visiting each other's shows, getting in our little disguises and trying to attack each other. Buried him alive, broke his dude leg. Like they're doing anything and everything to each other. So yeah, I think the nonlinear storytelling of it helps to build up those reveals, so that Nolan can do to us what he's saying that those magicians want to do for the audience in there, right? Present that illusion, give them the showmanship and everything. And yeah, this one clearly ties in with the filmmaking aspect, which I think is compelling. I think it's really compelling with Hugh Jackman's final little moment where he's like, "Oh, it was all for the audience," which I think partially may be true, but prior to that, we really don't see him like having a sincere connection with magic. So I think that could have been another way of just trying to one up his rival yet again. But yeah, all right. Any other thoughts on the Prestige?
No, I just think it's cool. It's a cool, fun movie. Cool plot twists. It's entertaining to show people, see their reactions.
And quite quotable.
Quite quotable.
Enough to make it
it's not
disappear.
enough to make it disappear. You got to bring it back.
All right. So, how many transported men out of 5?
I'm giving it 4.
All right. I'm giving it a 4 as well.
Yeah, that's fair.
It's getting really, really good. Is that at minimum 4, Memento 4.5 average, Prestige 4 average?
Well, wait until we get to Tenet.
Now, Inception.
Inception. One of his most famous movies. One of the ones that like entered the zeitgeist the fastest, along with the Batman movies. Like Inception was huge when it came out. Everybody was talking about Inception. Inception is like the term Inception has now entered the zeitgeist.
That's crazy. Like that's real. Talk about again, like his effect on movies and culture.
It's like plant an idea in someone's head is to incept them now.
It's Inception, but even just like multiple layers of things. We'll just say, oh, it's this Inception. Exception, like whatever it is, we'll just say exception afterwards to indicate like there's multiple layers of whatever it is. So yeah, like that, really impressive. Yeah, and you're right. Like this again, Dark Knight for sure. I mean, that was like a masterpiece and acclaimed and $1 billion on release. And Nolan was like, all right, he's one to watch out for. And then he follows it up with not the sequel to that superhero film, but his own original story, massive budget, and it makes 800 something million, starring Leo.
It bangs, bro. It fucking bangs. This movie's awesome.
It's like, yeah, Nolan he's fully arrived, and then since then it's just been going to higher heights. So yeah, this one was definitely one to look out for. Again, it's impossible not even to remember the trailers, which also had a massive impact, since every trailer tried to copy the blah and the cuts to black and everything. So definitely a lot of impact there. This one, again, as far as like distinctly remembering way back when I watched it, didn't watch it in theaters. It was around the holidays. My cousins were in town. We were trying to find a movie to watch. I think we may have gotten it off of like Netflix back when they were doing the DVDs.
Oh, yeah.
You've gotten it from there. Or maybe the Redbox or even Blockbuster may have still been hanging on at that point. So we got it from somewhere. And I know my brother was really excited to see it. And I, for whatever reason, maybe because of all the trailers and whatnot, I don't know. I was not about it. I was like, I don't want to see this movie. I think it's going to be stupid. I think it's going to be dumb.
That's awesome.
And I remember we had because the cousins were here. So in the living room, we had an air mattress set up. So it was like half of us were on the couch watching it. I was on the air mattress watching it. And it was fantastic. I had to eat my words.
Overwhelming.
I was like, that was awesome. That was so cool. And again, this was like right around when it came out. So I was probably 10 or 11. And so, yeah, I remember that. And then this is also one where it's on flipping through channels back when that was a thing to do. If I saw this come on, I was like, all right, I'll watch this for a little bit. So I'll catch sequences, snippets here and there. So that was my history with the film. How about you? Did you see it in theaters?
I did not see it in theaters. The first of his movies I saw in theaters was definitely The Dark Knight Rises.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
I saw this one at home, I think upstairs alone in my little hangout spot with a TV. And God, it must have been around the same time Dark Knight Rises came out, probably a little after Dark Knight Rises. So I saw it a little bit after you did. You probably saw it first. And I was just watching Nolan movies, and this was one that I hadn't seen. It's obviously at this point, it's been 2 years since it came out. It's massively popular, massively famous, entered the zeitgeist. I was like, I know it's dream within a dream kind of stuff. I guess I should watch it. And so I watched it, and I was like, dude, this movie fucking bangs. This is around the same time that I was watching a bunch of old Bond movies too, and obviously
Oh,
those had a
yeah.
huge impact on this story, especially on Her Majesty's Secret Service, which is one of my favorite Bond movies.
We just
And
pause
so,
for a second and say, what is Amazon MGM thinking? Nolan clearly has been inspired by Bond throughout his whole career. He wants to do a Bond movie. Denis Villeneuve, again, is probably he's second place right now behind Nolan as far as like the filmmakers that are on top of their game. But why not go with Nolan? Like that's insane. Not to go with the guy that clearly he's been making mini Bond films and parts of his films for decades now. So
I think maybe they don't want his style of storytelling in a Bond film because he's a very specific narrative structure that he kind of
yeah,
does.
it would be he'd make it Nolan-esque for sure. So,
And I don't think they want that, which is fine. Like he has like Bond vibes in his movies, but in terms of like plot structure, not quite.
All right, so continue. So on Her Majesty's
Secret Service, like Goldfinger, all that stuff, massively entertaining. From Russia with Love, things like that. And so watching this, I was like, oh, this is like scratching the right itch because I love those old Bond movies. I think they're awesome. I haven't seen them in a while too, but they're great. And this movie, it just fucking bangs, start to finish. It is awesome. Once again, like there's like a little bit of emotionality in it with Leo's character and his connection to his wife, who's dead, and he's trying to like reconcile the fact that she killed herself. There's like a little bit there, but to me, the more poignant point is the concept of trying to implant an idea in somebody and like using what they find emotional to your advantage. And that whole reveal where Cillian Murphy opens the safe at the end of the movie and he sees the what is it called? It's like the will or whatever. And he reaches underneath the will and he pulls out the pinwheel from the picture. Brilliant. Because it's a movie that's about storytelling and trying to evoke emotions in people and like how that process works. Yeah, the catharsis of that. And Leo's character in this movie is the perfect person to understand how to hit those notes and to tell that story. And laying the pinwheel in there is like the perfect nail on the head. Using dreams as a reason to like express something to somebody is genius. It's genius. It's a great plot. It's a great idea.
So true. I mean, we've talked about this, I'm sure, in real life sometimes, but I do believe, without a doubt, dreams 100% are telling you something about yourself and your life. I think a lot of it can be, like stresses going on in your life. Because I remember I was big in my film. My dreams, if I had dreams, would be nightmares basically of stuff going on set, and that would, not that I wasn't already, but like I would feel even more inclined to be extra prepared because I'm like, I need to avoid this stuff. Like I can't let that materialize and become real. And just other things as well. Like even if they seem really outlandish, I think they're speaking to some kind of sentiment that is within you. I'm sure there's some research on that as well. Of like, yeah, there's some utility to dreams. Like they help us work out problems. People talks about that as well. Like you dream and it can help unlock certain things that you're wrestling with. So
yeah,
I think it's a brilliant concept, and the idea again of like, we need to. It's a heist film, but we're planting something. We're not trying to take something away. We're trying to plant something. What we're planting is an idea, an emotionally motivated idea to get someone to change their mind. That's just like they've talked about of like, he was writing this for a decade and he was trying to pitch it, and it's you can imagine extremely hard to pitch, but what an idea! Like just
Great idea.
so brilliant. And then the execution of it in here, which part of the criticisms that Nolan gets, as well as his exposition, which even today, even in the Odyssey, right, there's a little bit of truth to that still. But in a film like this, like that's what I want. Like I want
the
to go into the mind.
It's like Ocean's 11, bro.
Exactly. Like I
want
want
to learn about how these dream mechanics work. I want to learn how you're building that like lie, how you're like setting up that heist. This is where you want the exposition, which is why this movie works so well. It plays to his strength, which is exposition and like mountains of it.
Exactly. Which he's able to dole out in, again, those basically extended montages. But yeah, a lot of set pieces in this are fantastic. The exploding cafe is amazing. Again, you remember from the trailers when you go to watch the film, but even to this day, like the world folding on itself, like the city folding,
dude. That's
fantastic. Awesome. Like that's incredible. And then
the train in the city. Ugh.
I knew you'd love the train.
I do love the
train. And then the obviously the hallway fight where it's just flipping around and everything. Yeah. Like, yeah, undoubtedly iconic. That stuff is just so seared into your brain. And so yeah, that stuff is really what you take away. Like you said, again, the emotionality, there's something there for sure. And I do think like there's a couple of moments here and there where, again, it didn't hit me really hard, but I can understand like this is him really having an effort at like stirring up emotions in the audience with holding the children's faces until the very end, learning that they did grow old together. So like instead of seeing Cotillard and DiCaprio, we see just an elderly couple. So that stuff is there for sure. But yeah, the main takeaways of this film are going to be the mind-blowing elements to it, both in those set pieces and then just the world building construction of like, okay, we're going 3 layers deep, 3 dreams deep in order to plant this idea in this mind. And so I like that. I will say on rewatch, Leonardo DiCaprio, great, undoubtedly. No surprises there. I kind of wanted more from the overall crew because watching this, I get back to watching this and like The Dark Knight Rises, 1-2 punch of that. Joseph Gordon-Levitt, he was my guy. I was like, yeah, this dude is dope. Put him in everything. And so rewatching this, I was excited. I'm like, we're getting prime JGL. Let's see what was going on here. And then it just really doesn't do much in the movie. Like obviously the fight is still really cool, and he's like the center part of that. He has nothing much to do besides a little bit of banter with Tom Hardy. I was like, okay. Who Tom Hardy in this, I loved. I really didn't remember him being...
He's charismatic.
Such a fun
you
part.
Got to dream bigger, darling.
Yeah. So he was fantastic. But yeah, I was just like, the whole crew wasn't really doing much. Like Elliot Page's part in this is just the audience needs some questions answered. So this character is going to be the one asking all these questions, and also being the only one that engages with like Leo having these issues with Maul. So again, it's like important, it's necessary for sure, but it's also just like no one else has an arc or even a hint of an arc aside from Leo. And then
I'm fine with that. I just want cool action in the dreams.
I think it's fine too, but I just would have liked even more, just more banter, or because again, you mentioned the Ocean 11 thing. Like there's some characters that don't, there's 11 of them, right? That don't have much presence, but there's still a few of them have really good, banter and connections and chemistry with each other. But overall, whenever they're all just there, like joking around with each other, you're like, okay, this feels like a really fun team. They're all, working, like they gel well together. And this one, they don't gel well at all, but I'm just like, I kind of wish there was more to it. But yeah, so that was just one that I don't know, my expectations, I guess, were different than what the movie had always been.
Right.
I will say the second dream level, that one goes so hard. I love that one. Like, we need to get Cillian Murphy on board. We need to make him think that we are his security detail, his subconscious security detail. So we're going to prove to him that he is in a dream. So them rolling around in the van is messing up the world, the dream world. And so that helps convince him. Like that stuff, was awesome.
Yeah.
Loved every minute of that. The third dream level. What are your thoughts on this? Because honestly, I thought it was a little more like scattershot and incoherent of what was going on.
I like the aesthetic
I
a
really
lot.
love the aesthetic. I had always remembered that. I was like, this is cool. Apparently, yeah, I've never seen the Majesty's Secret Service, but
Hmm.
in homage to that.
Yeah.
And so I love the aesthetic. I always remembered that. But going into it, I'm like, this is weird. Like the way that the characters break off. I
Uh-huh.
believe Fisher with Saito, who's literally he's been on his deathbed the whole movie pretty much.
Mm.
But they're like, we're gonna go with
I
him.
think
We're gonna
the idea is it's like scattershot at this point. They know they're going into this because this is it's their architecture. They built this third dream level
yeah,
for this moment. I think the idea is they need it to they need to give it stakes so that by the time he gets to that end there, he's already like at like an emotional peak. His adrenaline is going. He's stressed. He's upset, and then he can like break down into an emotional moment. I think the idea is to like raise those stakes in that way. And at this point, they've also like changed gears, right? They're like traveling into his subconscious deeper and deeper into that dream level. I think they say like the people that are shooting at them are like defenses or something like that in his subconscious that they have to like fight against or something, some bullshit excuse to give like have
yeah,
soldiers be there. And then aesthetically speaking, I think the whole idea is at this point it is now turning into that heist where instead of implanting the idea, you are like trying to like steal something out of a safe, and the thing that you're stealing is the implantation of the idea.
right. Which is cool. I'm on board with that part. I just think the execution of it wasn't like had it
Mm,
been more a traditional heist at that point, I think would have been cool. Um, but it kind of going to the stuff about like the action, and whatnot, like the gunfight stuff is just kind of just there. Getting really, I mean, they're all dressed in white, so difficult to tell like if we're in any kind of one shot and the characters are
mm,
talking. It's like okay, who are we following? What have we been looking at?
mm.
Um, I was paying attention. Right now, a week removed, I really don't remember why they were climbing the mountain. They were scaling down it, scaling up it.
I don't remember.
There's like an avalanche thing that almost happened, and then that didn't seem to really have much impact. So I don't know. I just think that part it was a little wonky. I think up until that point, a lot of things had been very tight, and then there it was sort of because of what you just said of like, okay, we need to amp up the stakes, and we also need to extend the time that
Mm.
it takes for him to get there, and then oh, they need to sync up the kicks. Is it going to be able to work? Like we're amping up those stakes, but it just felt a little more stretched. Of like
Sure.
we're contriving things a little bit more to make that happen. Um, so yeah, again, aesthetic perfect, but I
Yeah.
just would have liked things to be a little more tight on that climactic dream level. But
Mm.
yeah, all right. Any other things you want to shout out about Inception?
No, this movie's just cool. I mean, of course, I don't think it goes as far as it could in terms of like exhibiting a dream world. Obviously, like we're
Yeah,
in the world of dreams, and it is still very limited in its creativity. But I think in terms of making like a solid action movie about dreams and the concept itself of trying to incept an idea into somebody's mind, I think is cool enough to where I can excuse the fact that it isn't as creative as it could be in terms of dreams. And I think the only way you could really tell a story where you are entering someone's subconscious and traveling through their dream state, I think the best way to do that is animated. I think it's just too difficult of a feeling to capture in live action. It's possible, but it's just very, very hard. And I think
the
Christopher
science.
Nolan had an idea and he
Yeah.
wanted it to be relatively grounded, and he executed the idea that he wanted. And I think he did so very well.
So what are we talking about with like the dream world? Are you talking about like you got unicorns showing up in your dreams, or it's just
Just
a
like
kaleidoscope?
the impossible nature of like what is in your mind when you're dreaming, like things melting, people changing instantly. I don't know. I think like when I think of dreams, I think of like things that are impossible to picture in real life or very difficult to picture in real life. And I think it's definitely possible to capture that feeling in live action. I've seen movies that get very close. Like, I think Poor Things, the aesthetic of Poor Things is very dreamlike in a lot of sequences. So it's definitely possible, but it's just not the movie that Christopher Nolan wanted to make. He wanted it to be more grounded intentionally. Because obviously the first part of the dream level is they're trying not to convince. They don't want Cillian Murphy to realize he's in a dream. That's the
Yeah,
whole intention. Is they're building this world to convince him it's the real world,
I think it makes
and
sense.
then
Yeah,
at a certain point they change their mind.
the whole point is we're trying to make it indistinguishable, like the dream and the reality, which also works for the mall stuff, right? Of like we
Yeah.
need. Why is her name Maul? By the way, Darth Maul. What do we do?
I don't know. I
Her
think it's
name.
short for something.
I sure, but I think it's Mallory. So is her name Mallory?
Okay.
The
Well,
variation on
all
Mal.
right. Move
So
on.
anyway,
Keep going.
because of that as well, like if we're implying that Maul's whole deal, she wasn't able to tell real world from dream, then dream must look similar to real world. It kind of hinges on that aspect. Also, again, I don't know. In my dreams, certainly some weird, funky stuff that happens. What they talk about, like, oh, you never really know how you got to where you're at in the dream. That 100% is true. I think it's well done here.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. I think a lot of my dreams are pretty grounded. At least the ones that I
Okay.
remember when I wake up from.
You and I have different dreams.
Can you next time you dream, message me what you dreamed? Because I'm curious of
I will.
what's going on in your
I've had
dreams.
some
Again, there's
interesting
times where I think the frog from Naruto. there's a time where one of my nightmares was being chased by that frog in like this corridor thing. So I'm like, again, there's some funky dreams going on. But
Sure. I blew up a target with C4 one time in my dream.
Oh,
and
nice.
then I robbed the target.
what the heck? See,
It's relatively grounded.
your negative feelings about Target, like the store Target.
This was years after I left. Yeah, this is years after I was done.
Oh, there you
working
go. Your subconscious is still simmering about it.
Yeah, dude. When you have dreams about work, brutal.
That's what I'm saying too. Like when you're in a place for so long, or you're doing something for so long, your dreams start being that. Like at 100%.
I had a dream when I was working at Valet. I had a dream that I was at my job, but it was like a 30-lane valet with like 10 stories parking garage above it filled with cars, and I was running the whole thing, and I was super stressed out. Like that to me was not grounded. That was like bizarre.
Right. Yeah, I can see that, but
it was a nightmare.
Still,
so many cars
relative to reality, right? And clearly rooted in some kind of subconscious feeling of you having stress and the pressure of everything there. So, yeah, I think to me that was never. I never cared that like, oh, there's not more crazy dream logic happening. Again, they have some set pieces of the train, the exploding cafe, the folding world. I think that hits enough for me to be completely satisfied with that. Some of the other rules, world building elements that I adored. I think the subconscious acting like white blood cells, they can detect when someone's infiltrating the dream and they try and root it out. So in Ariadne, I forget the name, but when Ellie Page's character is going around and messing up the dream, and then everyone's
Ariadne,
there you go. Yeah. The name we get Cobb, Ariadne,
Eames,
yeah. Which I think, that's an homage to something, I'm sure. But yeah, so anyway, everyone immediately just like spotlight on what should be rooted out. I'm like, that's really solid stuff. And then let's see, what was the other one? It came a little bit later, but just the overall rules of some of the dreams I think were great. The paradox stairs, every time that happened, I was like, dope.
Sick. Yeah.
Very cool. So yeah, I just loved the way that again, the rules of the world building and how we were able to explore all of that stuff. I think it came together really well. So can't wrap up our discussion without asking the popular theory about Inception, right? It's ending the spinning top, and we don't actually get to see it fall. So it spawned plenty of theories of people being like, oh, he's still in the dream, or perhaps the whole thing is a dream. And he's still in the limbo world. Your thoughts?
I think he's in real life.
Yeah, I think so too. You see the thing wobble.
Yeah.
The faces turn. So yeah, I think it's clear that it is in the real world. Again, I think him leaving when he like hears the children, he goes there is compelling, but yeah, I don't know. The idea that like, oh, he no longer cares if he's in the real world or in the dream. I think he definitely would care, and I think it's great that he is in real life. He's gonna come back, see the.
I think the idea of the top never actually falling is that yes, he's out of the dream, but those dreams are still staying with him. Like him, like the experiences he had in those dreams are not leaving him, and like his connection to those dreams, his connection to Maul, who now only exists in his dreams.
Indeed. Do you think he's gonna keep dreaming? He's gonna go back.
No, I think he's done. I think he's retired.
Wow.
I think Cobb is done.
You think he's not gonna relapse and go back and get another hit?
Nope. I think he's done with the dreaming.
All right. So, how many totems out of 5?
I'm giving this one 4.5.
4.5, very solid. I'm giving this one a 4 on my rewatch.
Wow, straight 4s from Ryan today.
Straight 4s. Again, I was like, so many of his films are 4s for me. So again, they're all really, really great, entertaining.
There's just something holding you back always.
Top tier filmmaking and all that. But yeah, like I said, in all these, I think the lack of the emotionality holds back a little bit. And then I like the connection, like, this being kind of like the experience that films has of the catharsis and everything. I do like that. So like there's some more thematic weight. It is just awesome. Like again, just seeing it be pulled off, this idea is awesome.
Yeah,
I think on a rewatch, I might.
It's a delight to watch. It's an absolute delight to watch. All right, that's all the time we have. If you'd like to give your thoughts on the show, you can email us at theboxofficeshowpod@gmail.com.
Our main type theme for the show, sent down by Joseph McDay.
If you like the show, please give us 5 stars on whatever podcast app you're listening to, and be sure to tune in next week. Have a great rest of your day.